Should be. That'll work. Pretty. There we go. Why did you go? Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Amanda Hellman on my page. And today I'm just going to go straight to it. Basically, talking about childhood sexual abuse. And a month ago, I went to Washington, D.C. to go to Johns Hopkins Envision Childhood Sexual Abuse Conference. And of course, not everybody goes there, and people tend to have the sigh when you talk about childhood sexual abuse. So just the down and pretty much straightforward statistics are that 1 in 4 women are have experienced childhood sexual abuse, and that's from RAINN, really, and looking at childhood sexual abuse networks, as well as many different studies that are recent, as well as 1 in 6 boys. Now, again, depending on statistics, we've had 1 in 20 down to 1 in 6, but this is really for childhood sexual abuse that's reported. Many times it's not been reported over the years, and it's inaccurate. And we also know that online sexual abuse, anything from people online talking or having some type of assaults, can make it go up even higher in percentage. And when I was at this conference, I realized that there's a lot that I haven't really shared about childhood sexual trauma in this way and abuse. But my hypothesis is that 1 in 1 children and even adults, 1 in 1 human beings, that's men and women, actually are impacted, and survivors or witnesses or in their family line have experienced sexual abuse. So I want to hypothesize and advocate for greater and stronger research so that we can actually do that, because 1 in 1 childhood sexual abuse, if all of us are impacted, it impacts our mental health, which means we actually would identify that all of us are in need of health and well-being in this area. And when all of us 1 in 1 know that childhood sexual abuse impacts every single human being on every single planet, nation, continent, city, we would be more apt to be involved in our communities, in our nations, in our families. And a lot of times, mental health and childhood sexual abuse, people don't know what to do with it. People get scared, they shut down, and it's because that's happened in their family line. There's a lot of secrecy, there's shame, there's guilt, there is silencing of our voices. And I think across the globe, collectively, we can say that. Many people don't always want to go to that topic because it's impacted us. And I want to advocate that there's a way to prove that 1 in 1 out of people have experienced childhood sexual abuse, or it's happened in our family. And it impacts not only our thinking, it impacts our mental health, it impacts well-being, it impacts our belief systems. And it certainly does impact how we show up each day. And if we don't address it in one generation, it happens over and over again because we don't know what to do with it. And that has a lot to do with organizational abuses, different systemic things that are oppressive. But what I want to advocate is that we have individual adverse childhood experiences that show that have demonstrated the impact. We think Kaiser, right? And that's been a long, well done, conducted study. But not just that, we also have the Philadelphia ACEs study that happened in 2015. But even with looking at those childhood experiences, I actually want to advocate, and I've been talking to policy people and wanting to get funding, because I actually believe it's possible with the different things we know in counseling psychology, education, trauma research, neuroscience, so we can actually prove that 1 out of 1 people are actually impacted by childhood sexual trauma and childhood sexual abuse, whether it's witnessed, whether it's happened in your family line, or actually you that occurred to you. And I believe that what I would call, and it's held in 2024, because I'm going to continue to advocate for this and start talking to policymakers, is to actually use the different tools we have in counseling psychology that we know from family systemic structures, and also things that we know would be helpful in talking with parents or even families and looking at historical traumas, looking at different types of trauma in a new way, a more comprehensive type of childhood sexual abuse survey. And it would be called generational ACE. And that would be from me. I'm actually wanting to spearhead that study, which would look at generational ACE scores, because what happens now is so many people say, oh, that didn't happen to my family. Oh, that's not something that's happened to us. We have the perfect family. And the myth breaks when we realize that sexual abuse is such a secrecy thing, and it's happened so much more prevalently, whether we witnessed it, whether from wars, whether from oppression or in slavery, than we can even fathom. And it continues because it's been something that's been in secret, that's impacting our families, impacting women, impacting men, impacting children for so long. And so I'm advocating that we actually address the harder issues of the childhood sexual abuse and mental health, because that breaks down family systems. It breaks down the family dysfunctions come from a source, the roots of that. And if we don't actually deal with the big addressing, we'll continue to have things such as we see today. We're at a highest peak of suicidal thoughts, suicide, of people having great anxiety and depression. And I want to advocate that, yes, there's different factors, there's different types of traumas, but when we don't go to the main root and source, which is childhood sexual trauma and abuse, and mental health, and how those two go together, and we actually don't do that, we are doing a disservice to our world. And I'm coming on here to share this because it's been on my heart for a long time, and I believe that there are tools. And so my heart now is to begin advocating for greater things in this area. And more alarmingly, I want to bring survivor voices to the forefront. I actually have a heart and passion. It's part of my why. I do a lot of coaching and consulting, but one of my greatest passions is to bring forth innovative centers that people have never seen before, and being able to break people free of these different family dysfunctions because of childhood sexual abuse, because of the mental health, and because of all the other intricacies of trauma that also impact us. But I am advocating that childhood sexual abuse and mental health are the two correlations together that need to be addressed today. And we don't know how to do it because so many people, because it's been impacting our whole being, a lot of people are silent about it. They don't know how to help. When that cycle happens in their own family to their own children, they have no idea how to deal with it. There's shame, there's paralysis, there's thinking paralysis. And I'm here to say that it's possible to break these cycles. It's possible to actually get study and research and policy in the right area and direction. And actually, when we do that, then we can come together collectively as communities and address this. Breaking down shame, anxiety, breaking down the silence and the fear, and breaking down what we haven't addressed ever as a nation, or even in communities. And so my heart is addressing childhood sexual abuse, believing it's 1 out of 1, that we're all impacted. It's not just one person. It's been in family lines. It's been a secrecy thing. It's been a quiet across different generations, different time periods. And now is the time that we can address this. We have the research, we have the tools, and we have the revelations. And I believe that once we do that, we can, as a collective whole, heal. We can bring generational healing, family healing, and we can bring healing to the child with the different innovations now rather than later in their life. We can actually address it earlier. I'll be on to talk more about this, but that is my passion. It's my why. It's behind everything I do to get to help survivors. And that's my long-term goal is helping survivors. My coaching is really a viable way of being able to get to those bigger dreams of, not only unlocking women, unlocking men of different backgrounds with their cognition and thinking patterns, but also children and families. As I continue, the more and more I realize our thinking and all of the stress that we have has come from different roots, and the sources are the traumas that we want to pretend that aren't there. We want to keep going and doing all business as usual. But if we don't get to the roots of what's really impacting us, then we're not really going to have the success we want. Success starts within you. Success starts with personal development within you. Success starts with dealing with the deep stuff so that you can thrive and not just survive all of your life. All right, take care.